Welcome to the second tutorial for UTEP's Music Theory Placement exam. In this video, I will be walking you through each of the 4 parts of the exam. Each part of the exam is timed, so before you begin, you will see how much time you are allowed after clicking the exam name, but before starting the actual exam. So as I scroll down, I'll see the 4 parts of the exam. If I click into the first one, I'll see a time specification right here at the top. To give you an example of this, I'll press begin, and there is a countdown right here. It'll count down the entire time, and as you scroll through the test, it will stay at the top so that you can observe it. You'll see that there's a little green indicator here, and it'll eventually go all the way across the screen to show you how much time you have left. If you don't want to look at the timer, there's a little button here, and you can show or hide that if you'd like. You can only take each part of the exam one time, so make sure you're ready, that you have enough time, and that your internet connection is reliable. This exam has 4 parts, 2 that focus on music fundamentals, these 2 here, and 2 that focus on aural skills, or ear training. We recommend that you take each portion in the order they are listed on the home screen. You can check to see if you have completed each part of the exam by clicking on the My Grades on the left side of the screen, and make sure there are green circles with check marks for all parts of the exam. This exam is designed to place you into the class that is best suited for your level. Being placed in a class that is too easy or too hard is not what you want. If you are placed in a course that is too hard, you are very likely to fail the course. This would require you to add an entire year to your degree plan, and you'd have to take the same class twice. No one wants that to happen. This exam is simply a diagnostic that will help us put you right where you need to be to help you smoothly and efficiently complete your degree. With that in mind, this is a closed book exam. You are not permitted to use any books, notes, other websites, or study aids, and you must complete the exam without help from anyone else. If there is anything you don't understand in the exam, please leave it blank, or select I don't know if that option is available. Guessing correctly when you truly don't know the answer could have the costly result of placing you in a class that you are not ready for. I'll now walk you through each part of the exam so that you know the types of questions you'll encounter and so that you can become familiar with the expected format of your answers. Many of the fill-in-the-blank questions require you to enter your answer in a very particular way. Make sure to read the instructions carefully so that you input your answer in the exact format requested. So I'll start the first part. Press begin. And you want to fill in the information about your name and your email so we know who you are. For spelling key signatures, enter the order they would show up in a key signature with a single space between each one, but no spaces between a letter name and its flat or sharp, just like the example. So you can see here that we've got 3 accidentals, F sharp, C sharp, and G sharp, single space between each one, but no spaces in between a note and its accidental. The pound symbol is being used to show sharps, and the letter B is used for flats. For key signature ID, you're simply identifying the pictured key signature, and your answer should be a single letter name, or a single letter followed by an accidental. No spaces. So here's an example. If the answer was G flat, this is what your answer would look like. No spaces at all. Moving on to scale spelling. When spelling scales, you need to be really careful because you're entering many notes. Again, there should be a single space between each of the notes in the scale, but don't use spaces between a note and its accidental. Only use them between each note of the scale. So there's an example here where we have G major and G followed by a space, then A followed by a space, and then when we have the F sharp, there is no space between the F and the sharp. These examples show a jumbled version of some major scale. The notes are out of order, so you need to analyze the example so that you find all the accidentals being used in order to determine which major scale contains those given notes. You'll notice that there are more than 7 notes in these questions. That's because some of the notes are repeated or used in more than one octave. These repeated notes don't have any effect on the name of the scale. With these questions, you are shown a single measure of rhythmic values. You need to determine which time signature would be used for a measure like this. Make sure to pay careful attention to the beaming when determining your answer. For triad spelling, you'll be spelling the triads with a single space between each note, but again, no spaces between a note and its accidental. So here's an example, just like the other ones. And then some multiple choice questions about triads and inversion there. That's all for part 1 of the exam. When you're finished, click Save and Submit down here at the bottom right. If you didn't answer any of the questions, you'll get a message that says which questions you didn't answer right here at the top. At this point, you can go back and answer them by clicking Cancel, or if you didn't answer them on purpose, you can just click OK. You'll be taken to a new screen that says your exam has been saved and submitted. Click the OK button in the bottom right corner. You'll be shown a similar screen. Click the OK button one more time. You'll now be brought back to the home screen. Now don't worry, the timer has now stopped for that test and a brand new one will start when you open the next test. So I'll now go through part 2. After clicking into it, you can see that the time limit is mentioned again before you start. I'll press begin. The questions about key signatures are just like the ones from part 1 of the exam, but now they cover minor keys, so I'll skip past that. With the minor scale identification, you are to select 2 boxes. The first one needs to identify the type of minor scale, like natural minor, harmonic minor, or melodic minor, and the second one needs to identify the tonic of the scale. So for this particular example, this is a C-sharp melodic minor, so I'll select melodic minor and the tonic note, which is C-sharp. Now you should note that this question will allow you to select far too many answers. But if you selected one that you don't like, just click it again and its selection will go away. There's a couple more questions on rhythm and meter. For intervals, you are supplying a single note name. That note name may or may not include an accidental. Don't use any spaces. Make sure to pay special attention to whether or not you are supplying the note above or below the given note. And you can see that those are mentioned below and above for each one. So make sure to check which one you're doing. There's a couple of multiple choice ones on interval identification. 7th chord spelling. Like with triads on part 1 of the exam, you need to put a single space between each note name, but there should be no spaces between a note and its accidental. And there's an example of how that should look right there. A couple more questions about 7th chords, quality, and inversion. So that's the end of part 2. I'm going to close this out. And then I'm going to open up the first part of the oral skills exam. Again, it tells me how much time is in that test. Press begin. The oral skills portions of the exam are a little different than the theory portions. It's critical that you read and understand the instructions at the top of the page. This first part concerns a short passage in a simple meter and only contains 4 questions. All of the questions relate to the recording at the top of the page. There's a little audio player with a play button right here at the top. After reading all 4 questions, listen to the example. You can replay the audio as needed, but this exam is timed, so you just need to complete it before the time runs out. The first question asks, how many beats are in the entire excerpt given that the word hark equals 1 beat? Hark, and here are the lyrics at the top. It's a couple of multiple choice questions. The last question is getting you to do a form of rhythmic dictation of the entire excerpt. For each of the 4 measures, you are selecting one of the pictured options that represents the rhythm of that measure. So you should place a letter in each of the 4 boxes. Patterns may be used more than once. So for example, if I thought the first measure was pattern F, I put an F there, and then maybe the second measure was E, I'd put an E, and maybe the third measure was also E, and then we ended with G. So again, you can repeat letters as necessary, and each one of these boxes represents one measure. Okay, that's all for the oral skills portion for part 1. So I'm going to close out of that and open the last part, the oral skills part 2. The second part of the oral exam is like the first, but this passage is in a compound meter. Again, make sure to read the instructions at the top of the page and read each of the 7 questions carefully before beginning. Like part 1, you can replay the audio as needed, but this exam is timed, so you just need to complete it before the time runs out. Make sure to consider the second note before you answer the first question. Here's the second note before you really start with this first question. You'll have to use your understanding of compound meters and your sense of logic to answer questions 1 through 3, these questions here. In this question, you are doing another form of rhythmic dictation. You need to select the image that represents the rhythm of the first measure only. So if I thought it was this top one, I would just click it, and then the radio button will be selected there. The last 3 questions concern starting and ending scale degrees, or solfege, and intervals. If you don't know what a compound meter is, or you've never learned to hear scale degrees or intervals, you may not understand what the questions are asking. This is fine. Please leave the answers blank or select I don't know so that we get an accurate picture of your understanding so that you can be placed into the most appropriate course. When you're finished with all 4 exams, make sure to go to the My Grades section, again over here, and look for the 4 green circles with check marks so that you know you've completed the entire exam. The exam results will not be sent to you right away, but after the music theory faculty have examined your results, the undergraduate advisor will email you with how to proceed. Again, if you have advising questions, please email Dr. Lineberger at charlesl@utep.edu. If you run into any technical issues with the exam, please email me, Dr. Jarvis, at bejarvis@utep.edu. Again, welcome to the Department of Music here at UTEP, and I look forward to meeting you and working with you soon.